I only knew it from pictures, yes.
I know why.
Yeah.
It is a rare and expensive fish, but that's actually not the main reason why I think it's so special.
But you have focus on SPS, so you need a lot of space.
Yeah, but I did not want to use a lot of rocks. I want fish, I want water, I want corals, I don't want rocks. So what I did when the tank was still empty, to the right and the left side, I've glued a few plates of rock, just with silicone glue, just simple. I've discovered that it works well.
Yeah.
So I also have a vertical structure to grow corals on. And the whole further reef is actually mainly consisting of 3 pillars are made of live rock from a previous tank. I transferred them from the previous tank to here just by car, dry in a big bucket, together with the corals. And I put them in, and I used a few small pieces of rock to connect all those parts together so it looks more natural. And the aim was to have a lot of hiding places for the fish, so less aggression, more natural behavior, less stress, to have enough current able to blow through the rocks. So less dirt, so better water quality, but also a lot of places to place corals, so it looks like you're watching a box, or a window to the sea, you could call it.
Yeah.
That was my idea when I created this. The framing around it was actually my wife's idea. Why don't you make a picture frame-like construction? And I liked that idea. So
Great.
that's what we
Absolutely.
did. So that's actually how the tank was designed. I wanted to be practical, but mainly a home in which the fish would feel well and behave natural, remain healthy, and so on. That was actually the main purpose.
One question, where are your flow pumps? Because they are very well hidden.
Well, actually, the left one is behind that gorgonian, and you can clearly see it because the gorgonian does not do what I wanted to do, which is also growing a little bit upwards. And the right one is behind the other gorgonian. And by using gorgonians, you can easily get them in and out because you can just push the gorgonians away. And that's it. There are just 2 of them. And also the return pump, which is in that construction, well, the outlet. And there's one outlet in that green Montipora, and there's one outlet somewhere down between those rocks. And of course, I took precautions, so in the case of a power failure, the tank is not sucked empty.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite coral?
Probably. There's a few. I actually like the pink hystrix coral. And I know it's not one of those hyped expensive corals, but when I was 16 years old, which is about 20 something years old now.
5 years ago, yes.
Yeah, kind of. They were really rare in the trade. And then the fish store where I was a customer called me. Well, we have 5 of them. 4 brown ones, which was already really special, and a pink one. And the pink one cost 200 guilders, which is 100 euros or so now.
How big was the
It was
frag?
like a tennis ball. They were not
Okay.
like things by then. Come on. But anyway, I decided to buy this coral and to cut the coral and the price in 2 with a friend of mine. So we both had a small pink hystrix, which was really special by then. And this pink hystrix is still the same one, well, of a frag and so on, as I got then. And to me, it's still a very special coral, but I know everybody thinks it's a common coral now, which is good. And another nice one is a Duncanopsamia here. And the Duncan coral nowadays, again, is really available. But this one was collected by Julian Sprung from the Great Barrier Reef, legally, while Australia had still prohibited any coral exports. It was brought to the United States, a frag to Alf Jacob Nielsen, a frag to a zoo here, and I traded it somehow, so this is a frag of that coral. So it's a coral with some kind of a legacy.
That's such a cool fact about that hobby, that behind every animal is such
There's often a story.
a story that is so beautiful.
That's really nice because, well, generally a Duncanopsamia is not really special anymore.
Yes.
But this one, to me, it is,
Yeah.
because of that reason. But the corals are mainly decoration, actually, in my opinion, because I had a full SPS tank with all the deep water things at the end of the 90s, the beginning of 2000, and I really like them, but I don't like the work. What I like more is to put the work in the fish. And as, again, Coach Iwata once told me, Keeping corals, he said, I'm quoting, so don't shoot me please. Keeping corals is easy, it's just chemistry and some light. But keeping fish is another story. And I think after quite some years, I agree with him, because keeping a fish healthy long term takes way more effort than doing the same thing with a coral. Especially if you talk about the more sensitive ones. For example, the tuca, which you see there, they're being regarded as hard to keep, and I do agree with that, but it takes a lot of work for me to keep them as healthy as they are. And I must admit, the pandemic has helped me a lot because I was at home a lot, so I could take a lot of time to get them to the point where I wanted to have them. But now they're just healthy fish, but again, work.
What is the most important point while keeping sensitive fish?
I think time, patience, and watching. In the beginning, I recommend, especially when keeping sensitive fish, to keep them in a separate container, to get them used to captivity, to used to your system, but also used to the food you offer. If you would buy a new fish now and release it in such a tank, the food is gone before the newcomer even sees there was food. So then you can fill the fish with food and get it used to the food you feed. Also, you are in control. I mean, if something goes wrong, you can take out the fish and do something with it, treat it in a separate tank, of course, which you have to have, in my opinion, when you're serious with fish. But also knowing what to do when the fish does not look when it should look. Know how to treat even in a reef tank, because of course you cannot add medicines to the water. And of course, ozone and UV does help. But for the more sensitive ones, there are different ways which you can use to take measures if necessary. And also, don't skimp on quality of food. I mean, many people pay big amounts of money to all kinds of equipment and they feed food which, in my opinion, is no food, but it's just a filler. So buy high quality food, add vitamins every now and then, and really watch if they are eaten as you want them to eat, and if their skin looks, well, it sounds a bit weird, glowing and completely perfect. That's one of the signs of a healthy fish.
And when we are leaving the living room, we came to that room. That's your fish hobby center.
So this is the back from what you've seen from the other side of the wall.
Yes.
Most of the controllers for pumps and stuff, it's really boring, but it's here. But it's handy just inside, so I can use it right away. Below it is the filter area with the skimmer and the UV lamp. It's nothing special actually. And here's a small kitchen sink with under which the dosing pumps are. There's a small tank in case I need to keep a fish separate for whatever reason.
So this is your quarantine area.
Yeah, I can use it as a quarantine tank, but also as a hospital tank. In case a fish gets ill, I don't want to wait till the next day before I have medicines or whatever. So it is always running. Always, and I always have some medication on hand in case I need it. I don't want to use it, of course, but when it's needed, I can use it right away because I don't want to lose valuable time when an animal is ill. And behind this is some stuff I need for the tank, like trace elements and fish food and everything. That's actually it. It's really simple.
Okay, Tanne, maybe some people think a crazy tank like that should have a lot of more equipment like a normal tank, you know, maybe from at home. But we came into this room and I just see a skimmer.
Well, that's of course really important. You can also do without one, in my opinion, but I want to be sure to get unexpected surprises, unwanted surprises. So I have a good quality protein skimmer and a good quality return pump. In the sump, there's also the dosing. I dose calcium, alkalinity and all that in the sump. And that's actually the sump. And apart from that, what you don't see right now, but it is there, are of course dosing pumps, and there's a chiller to keep the temperature of the tank to about 23 degrees because the fish need that. And the hot air from the chiller is going through a pipe just out of the house.
Okay.
So this room where I'm sitting right now keeps cool because otherwise the tank would also heat up. So that's actually the whole system. And because of the fish, some fish are a little bit more sensitive. I use a little bit of ozone in the skimmer. And there's a big UVC filter which runs 24/7 in order to keep the number of parasites in the tank low. I think you cannot keep it to 0. I think that's impossible. But keeping the number low already makes a lot of sense.
What is your most used equipment? You've got something?
Light.
Light, yeah.
Light, current and good water quality. And if you have that, there are multiple ways to achieve that, of course. If you have light, current and a proper water quality, then life will be way easier. I use on this tank ATA Stratons. I like them a lot because they are have a big surface area, so the light reaches the corals from a lot of sides. And I mean, if you have small colonies, it doesn't matter if you have more pointing lights which in my opinion create nice shadowing, which gives a more dynamic effect. But if you have bigger colonies like I do, then it makes sense to have a bigger surface. And also they don't produce a lot of heat, and I like the color these lights give to my animals, because I can actually have quite some control over what it looks like.
You've got 2 of them.
Yes,
on
I do.
top. Yeah, okay. Tanne, thank you for having us today.
More than welcome, it was a pleasure.
It was amazing. I also learned a lot about keeping very sensitive fish, and I've seen some fish I've never seen before, and maybe I will not see again.
You never know, if you visit me again, they'll still be there.
Yeah, maybe next time. Today we are going to have the trip to Wesley. I think you also know him, yeah?
Definitely has a great time. Way different than this. It's
also the viewers know him, but it was perfect that we can also meet you at the same time. And I wanted to ask you the last question of today. You wrote also books.
True.
Topic?
About marine aquaria.
Yes.
And it actually started out as some study assignment which I made into this book, which in Dutch is called Praktische Handleiding voor het Zeeaquarium, which means practical guide for the reef aquarium. After a few prints, I decided to put part 1 on it, which would force me to do a part 2, which we now have in Dutch, a way thicker book with a lot of background information. I've traveled all over the world. For the deep sea chapter, I rented a submarine. I went diving with collectors. I visited companies. Well, I have had great fun and a lot of work as well. And the first part, I also have it translated in English, is called Practical Guide for the Reef Aquarium. This book is really thin, 56 pages, but I tried to make books which would teach me what I would have wanted to know when I started the hobby. So that's mainly the part 1, and the part 2 is way more going deeper into water chemistry, in biology, in where do my animals actually come from? How did they get from the sea to my aquarium? Who were those people through whose hands they've been to? How to breed fish, how to grow corals? Many of those questions. They were in part 2, and well, I've had a lot of fun making those books.
In those books are about 30 years of experience.
Reef keeping, yes.
Yes. Okay. Do you want to add something?
I want to say hello to my mother.